Welcome back to The Vocalist. Today we are listening to the band Procol Harum. This is a live performance from 2006 and the song is A Wider Shade of Pale. Here we go.
Skip the life and tango, turn cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick, but the crowd called out for more. As the ceiling flew away, when we called out for another drink, the waiter brought a tray, and so it was the later. As the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned to wider shade of pale.
I honestly don't know if I've heard this before. It doesn't sound familiar to me. I don't even know if I pronounced the name of the band correctly, so forgive me if I didn't. Obviously, I, did a tiny bit of research. I know that this gentleman, Gary Brooker, I think is his name. I mean, this is decades after the song came out. And while I haven't heard the original, he sounds so good. It's always such a huge testament to any singer when they just are able to maintain so much of their core sound and the characteristics of it when we think of texture or clean adduction, timbre, brightness, ping, all of these beautiful qualities that make us fall in love with singers in the first place. When they're able to maintain that with so many decades behind them of performing and of using their instrument, I just think it's stunning. I think it's so lovely. I'm also really enjoying the addition of the orchestra. I don't know if that was also in the original studio recording, but I love it. In one of our recent Patreon hangouts, there were so many songs that we listened to that unexpectedly had orchestra incorporated, and it's just it's such a special thing. I'm gonna try and get to when he starts.
We skip the life and tango, turn cartwheels across the floor.
It's such a soulful, buttery sound. Let's get that again.
We skip the life and tango.
There's also this punchiness to it, and I think part of that is his placement. It's not super far back. I mean, there's depth, there's a lot of richness in his tone, but he's got that gorgeous pink that I love so much. A little bit of added brightness from some forward placement. And I mean, it helps when you think about carrying over an orchestra, certainly over other instruments in, you know, a typical rock band. But that added soulfulness is just so lovely.
We skip the life and tango, turn cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick.
That was a beautiful example of using Fry to achieve full adduction. I don't know that I've talked about this a lot. One of my first voice teachers used this in lessons, and I found it so helpful. I know some people, you know, to each his own, but using that Fry to sort of understand the difference in sensation between Fry and full adduction, but also using it to aid you in achieving full adduction. I think it's a smart technique. Obviously, if you are someone who is not used to using a lot of Fry, it can be fatiguing, so we don't do it often. But he did a little bit of that at the onset of this last phrase.
I was feeling kind of seasick.
You could hear just the slightest bit of Fry on I instead of what I just did, which is just a pure glottal onset. I was feeling kind of seasick. But then you'll notice after the fact he had so much clarity in his tone. There wasn't that Fry texture sort of dissipated.
I was feeling kind of seasick. But the crowd called out for more. The room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away. When we called out for another drink, the waiter brought a tray.
The fullness in that upper register is so beautiful. First time hearing this through, I expected that to thin out a lot more than it did. Just purely for, you know, self-preservation. He didn't have to do that. It was just so full and so lush. And also, I'm so enjoying the strings in this moment. They're so complimentary. I'm realizing I'm saying the word "so" a lot. But they're just, yeah, I feel like they add a lot to this piece, but not in a distracting way, just in a really lush, full way.
The waiter brought a tray. And so it was that later, as the miller told his tale.
Now that was probably the first time I feel that he really backed off adduction. It wasn't a fry, it wasn't harsh, but it was so velvety and a little warm, and just, I really like that.
As the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned to water, shade of pale. She said there is no reason.
I'm backing this up. What's interesting to me about his vocals, just this phrase we just heard, it almost sounds like he's able to maintain that fullness of, the upper register, but just almost like someone turned the volume down, because it is still so present and so full. And there's something just a little, it's unique, because normally we get a lot more change in texture and timbre when people play with placement and volume and air pressure and all of that. But he seems to have this really interesting way of maintaining a similar color throughout while he's adjusting volume, which I think is, I don't know, I don't hear that very often.
She said there is no reason, and the truth is plain to see. But I wanted through my playing cards, would not let it be. When I'm 16 vestal virgins who were leaving for the coast, and I'll never my eyes were open, they might just as well been closed. And so it was that later, as the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned to water, shade of pale.
I have so many goosebumps. I am loving so much about this. I can only imagine just being there and having witnessed this live, how thrilling that was. I got excited when I saw people standing because I didn't see the choir early on. There's just something so special when you get that fullness in sound from many voices, from lots of instruments. I love it. I don't know if I backed it up far enough, but we're gonna see.
16 vestal virgins
Let me just a little bit further.
would not let it be. When I'm 16 vestal virgins who were leaving for the coast, and I'll never my eyes were open, they might just as well
anytime, just that suspension when you get that stretch in the tempo. I don't know if we'd call this rubato, because I don't think they're really picking up the pace afterwards. It's just that tiny slowdown. It's so satisfying, because then when they resolve the chord and everything, it's just beautiful.
They might just as well in trouble. And so it was that later, as the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly. Trade off
Get that again. I know we're at the end. Gosh, such fullness in his sound. Tiniest bit of texture. It's so consistent. The texture is so consistent, which is the other thing that I find so captivating. Also, there's yard work happening outside. I apologize if my mic is picking that up. I don't know for sure. But it's not distracting me from the video, so we're gonna keep going. More time, because we get a great shot of his mouth space, and you'll see that his tongue is just in the perfect position. Anytime you see kind of a curl in the tongue, that indicates a little bit of tension. Nothing wrong with it. All singers experience that at some point or another, especially depending on the language you're singing, and especially in that upper range. But watching him ascend and keep his tongue in such a neutral position, I think is so beautiful, because that's really challenging for a lot of people to do. So we're gonna watch it again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
I was pleasantly surprised to hear his speaking voice at the end, because the texture that I talked about in his singing, you could hear remnants of that in his speaking voice as well. It just had the slightest bit of grit to it, which was, I don't know, I think it was exciting to sort of put two and two together. The other thing I was thinking as I was listening to this, and again, I need to listen to the original studio recording. I like that they incorporated orchestra because whilst, not sampling per se, I feel like we could hear pieces of some Bach in there. Is it air on a G string? Something to that effect. I'd have to look up all the details to make sure I'm saying that correctly. But there were parts of that melody that I recognized in this song. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I think by using orchestra, well, if it wasn't incorporated in the original, then I think using orchestra can kind of help to highlight that. But if it was incorporated in the original, I don't know if they were trying to pay, respect to that melody or intentionally put it in, or if it just happened. I mean, that's the thing with songwriting. We only have so many notes, there are only so many combinations, and after hundreds and hundreds of years, it's inevitable that certain patterns get repeated, but whether or not, again, those are intentional, who knows? Long story short, I liked it. So that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for this recommendation and for watching with me, and hopefully I will see you next time.